This is the Toronto Maple Leafs. A few days ago, they were one shot away from being up 3-0 in the series against the defending Cup champs. Now, after Game 5, they're being booed off of the ice by their fans. The Panthers have won 3 in a row and have now put the Leafs on the brink of elimination. The adjustments from the Panthers have the Leafs in a pretzel. So what the hell is going on here? Why is Auston Matthews on missing milk cartons, and are the Panthers really this good enough to repeat? Well, let's take a deeper look. First, let's take a look at what the Leafs did really well for them to have a 2-0 series lead. The biggest thing was managing Florida's forecheck. You look at it, the Leafs either had the support in place to bypass the pressure, or they were able to make a solid defensive play to catch Florida players in deep and being over-aggressive. Beating the forecheck for the Panthers also opened up the opportunity for the Leafs D to step up in the play and activate. It also gave the Leafs some unexpected offense off the rush. They were beating the Panthers at their own game. But then Paul Maurice went back to the drawing board and said, let's figure some things out, and got back to making life way more difficult on Toronto's D. So any chance they got, the Panthers started using hard rims so that the D on the far side of the ice had to pick up the puck on their backhand. The Leafs defensemen were actually practicing these rim pucks ahead of Game 3. They had some clips on Sportsnet about it, but you can clearly see guys like Tanev and McCabe trying to work on this particular skill because they knew it was coming in Game 3. But what makes it so effective is the frequency. In every possession, Florida is relentlessly committed to this play and forcing Toronto's D to have to make an awkward play along the boards. So now that the breakouts are no longer clean for Toronto and Leafs are bobbling pucks, Florida's aggressive forecheck can get established. Eventually, you're bound to break. In Games 4 and 5, where the Leafs offense looked lifeless, they conceded the first goal in the game, and when they get chasing the game, they stray away from the formula that worked for them in Games 1 and 2. All season long here, the Leafs dump this puck in and get in on the forecheck. But with it being the third period down by a goal, Nylander here, he's just going to turn around and tries to force a pass into the middle. Panthers, they're all over that. From that turnover, it causes a goal. It's 2-0. This game's pretty much over. The Leafs, they get shut out in Game 4. Now in Game 5, it's the Panthers solving the forecheck of the Leafs. Now there's two plays in particular that I want to focus on that shows how much of an easy night it was for Florida when it comes to maintaining the forecheck of the Toronto Maple Leafs. First one, there's pressure coming down the wall, and there's also an F1 coming right at Ekblad. Kachuk on the half wall, he's got to make a heads-up play. And if you see here, quick pass, and it's a cheeky little tip right to his center iceman, clears the zone. The second play is going to be a great play from Seth Jones when going back to get the puck. He's actually going to absorb the hit from Matthew Knies, keeps going with it, and then look at the layers of support that Florida has in place against Toronto's forecheck. Again, the Leafs, they run a 1-2-2. Matthews, Marner, they're both covering the half wall and the middle of the ice, but just the layers of support there for Florida allow for an easy breakout. But even when the Panthers have a numbers advantage, they still stay committed to that hard rim play. But here, Joseph Woll's actually going to come out and play the puck to help his D on the forecheck. You see that McCabe here at the bottom of your screen is a left-handed shot, so he would have to take this puck on his backhand, make a play, and there's already Reinhart right there in his face to pressure him. So it actually ends up being a good breakout for Toronto because he plays it to Tanev and it heads the other way. Now, because the Panthers had such an easy time bypassing the Leafs forecheck, it allowed them to get way more chances off the rush. They didn't score, but the first goal really comes down to effort. Leafs play 5 tight behind their own net like most teams in the NHL. And right here, they have numbers back while the Panthers only have 3. Matthews can't win his puck battle. He actually tries to do a spinorama pass here instead of just a little soft chip off the boards, maybe over to Marner. But that creates a ton of bobbling pucks. No one can figure it out, and in steps in Ekblad to score the first goal of the game. It was 1-0 Florida, and now Toronto's chasing the game, just like they did in Game 4. Shortly after, Scotty Lawton gets on the board. Unfortunately, it's for the Panthers. He tips one in his own net, just a brutal bounce. Now the Leafs are down by 2, and we see them make the same mistakes that haunted them in Game 4. Mitch Marner has possession in his own end, and if he keeps his feet moving here or even advances the puck, he can catch 3 Panthers behind on the forecheck. Instead, he opts for a spinorama no-look pass right in the middle. I don't know why that's a theme in Game 5, but that's just totally straying away from what made them successful in Games 1 and 2. And they try to force the play, ends up in a turnover all day, but this is what's going to drive Leaf fans up a wall. On the counter, he just doesn't pick up his guy, and he gets beat to the far post. 3-0 Panthers. Now, 2 things. 1, this is what the Panthers do. They frustrate you into making mistakes. It's cliche, but against a team as structured as Florida, the first goal is monumental. If you're forced to play from behind, their layers make it incredibly difficult to generate offense. On the other hand, those are two brutal mistakes that happen from your highest paid players in Matthews and Marner. The rest of Game 5 was basically just garbage day for the Leafs. Tough bounces, no sustained pressure, turnovers galore, Giuseppe Wonderwall gets pulled from the net. Leaf fans are booing the team from the second period on. Fans throw an Austin Matthews jersey on the ice, and they lay yet another egg in a massive game. Post-game comments are juicy. Everyone's got to look in the mirror. Same thing you've heard for the last 5 or 6 years. You know the gist. The Leafs, well, they got to go back to Florida and try and force a Game 7 to win on home ice. Kind of ironic and hilarious when you think about it like that. But one of the biggest storylines is, of course, Austin Matthews and his lack of production, especially when it comes to scoring goals. Some fans want to cut some slack for his defensive play and the fact that he might be playing through an injury, while others are saying, suck it up, pal. That's what the money's for. Find a way to score a goal. One thing is clear, and it's that no one is giving the Florida Panthers enough credit for the job they're doing in shutting him down. Historically, Matthews scores his goals by finding soft spots within coverage and timing his arrival into space. But even when he does find those pockets of space, Florida's structure kills the play before it even gets to him. Just look at right here. 2 Panthers stay on him, get a piece, and just make him work through the mud a little bit. That, as an offensive player, is extremely annoying to deal with. This player just shows how tight Florida is playing defensively as well. The Matthews and Marner line, they get a sliver of space here. But look at how well Florida's man coverage follows Toronto up high. Right away, Marner's got to make a quick pass. Then Matthews has to confront the pressure and even momentarily face double coverage. Even though they do get an open look and Marner finally decides to shoot the puck, it is blocked by Florida. Even when the Leafs do get in the forecheck and Matthews does a good job at winning his puck battle, there's just a lot of one and done afterwards. Again, this can all be pointed back to the fact that they need to do a better job at beating Florida's forecheck so that they can create odd man rushes up the ice. In Game 3, where the Leafs offense put up 4 goals, watch Matthews make a poised defensive play to pass this puck to Marner. He dodges the hit perfectly, and now Matthews has the puck on his stick entering the zone. That is when good things can happen. When Toronto beats the forecheck, has a controlled entry, and gets their D jumping up into play, they are deadly. But Florida is cutting that right off at the head by hemming Toronto in and forcing mistakes and making them play catch up in the game. Now, the encouraging sign for Leaf fans is that no series has ever ended 3-2. Toronto does have a chance to go into Florida, win Game 6, and force 7 on home ice. But with how the Panthers have found the formula, Leaf fans have seemingly lost hope. So on Game 6 on Friday, we're going to find out if the parade is truly canceled for the year or if we get to see it go on for yet another game. So what do you think of the Leafs, the Core 4, the Snore 4? Do they make a comeback? Drop a comment down below, or do you just think that the Panthers are going to finish the job no problem? We tried a little bit of a different style for this video, so let us know what you think about it in the comments down below. I might do more like these with some quicker breakdowns, so again, let me know what you think down below. And if you want to see more breakdowns and recaps of the entire NHL playoffs, make sure you click that subscribe button and turn on notifications.